episode of One Puerto Rican and a Black Girl. Yes,
What is going on?
our girl is stuck in traffic. She is on her way, so she's going to be joining us soon. And Mimi and I, what were we doing today? Figuring this out.
Yeah, because we were like, this episode is about being indecisive. So we were going back and forth like, but do we wait for her? So we can't do it without her. Like the trio feels weird. So we were like, we have to do it because the episode is about indecisiveness and we're being indecisive.
Hello, love in action. Yes, today's episode is all about being indecisive, and we were indecisive up until maybe a minute ago. So,
right,
perfect to kick off the episode, right?
Right.
I'm the dope widow,
and I am the lifestyle diva, and welcome to this episode of One Puerto Rican, but it's two Puerto Ricans and a Black girl.
The other Puerto Rican is on the way.
In spirit, she's in here. She's here. So, indecisiveness, Miss Gigi. What do you think causes people to be indecisive?
Wow, that's actually really good. So, when I was thinking about this, when I thought of indecisiveness, I've actually broke it down into two categories. Mm-hmm. Like the big things I'm indecisive about and the small things I'm indecisive about. Mm-hmm. And then in thinking, I realized that for me, and I'm sure for most people, fear is a factor that can cause indecisiveness. Because if you have to make a decision that you don't want to make, I know for me, it's because I don't know what's on the other end of my decision making.
Right.
And so fear drives that for me. And then also for me, procrastination goes hand in hand with it because I procrastinate in making this decision because of the fear of not knowing what's on the other side. So it's like indecisiveness in the middle, procrastination, and then the fear on the other side for me.
Yeah. The outcome of things, not knowing, like when we were talking last week, what made us continue this is if somebody asks you a question or asks your opinion about something and you know what your answer is, but you don't say it because you're like, oh, but what if their opinion is different than mine? Or what if they don't agree with what I'm saying? It's like, so you don't say anything. You just be indecisive.
Exactly.
And it just leads to that cycle just to keep on going and going with the procrastination. Is like, what are we doing here? We've been sitting here like tonight.
Hello.
For 2 hours saying, are we going to do this or not? So yeah, it's crazy.
And then for me with the indecisiveness, we were just chatting a little bit, you and I, but just in today that I had to email someone, right? And I've been sitting on this email since maybe Thursday. And I keep reading it and just so indecisive about whether or not I should send this, not because it's not the right choice, because in my reasoning behind it, there's a whole lot of supportive reasons why I need to send this email, why I need to kind of shut things down and kind of close that chapter. But then there's still that side of me, well, am I going to look this way? Are people going to look at the situation this way? So my indecisiveness was also stemming from, what are people going to think when they know? Because I kind of feel like almost, I don't want to say a failure, but lack of a better word, that I wasn't able to execute this to the unto the finish. And that's bothering me. And that's where my indecisiveness has come into play, where I'm actually still sitting on this letter. It's going to go out tomorrow, though, first thing in the morning. It is, I promise. It's going out tomorrow, first thing in the morning. But I was still wrestling with the idea of, do I not? Do I include this? Do I not include this? How they're going to read this? How they're going to perceive this? And that's a problem that I have when I'm indecisive. Just really, well, that's what indecisiveness is anyway. Wrestling with do I do or do I don't?
Right. And at the end, it's like, it's hindering us. Major. The indecisiveness. Like, majorly. It's keep holding us back from doing things in simple things that if we just do it It's done.
Mm-hmm.
It's over with.
Mm-hmm.
The anxiety of it is gone.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and in that indecisiveness, it makes for unstable behavior habits.
Mm-hmm.
You
It
know,
does. It
it
does.
and you know, we all have children and people that are looking at us like we can't let them see us being like that. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
With that indecisiveness, because our children pick up everything.
Everything.
You
And
know,
we can't make a sound decision around them when it's time for them to make these big choices.
right?
To do the same thing, like some of the big things that I'm indecisive about that gives me almost like anxiety or a little bit of fear.
It really does. It really gives you like.
And so for me, the indecisiveness, when I was sitting here looking back at the many things that I was indecisive about, it has caused me not to chase certain jobs that could have been very lucrative for me, right? Certain promotions for me.
Yep.
I mean, I love the whole entertainment business. Like I love the fashion, I love the acting, the music, I love all of that. And my indecisiveness have caused me opportunities to do acting jobs or to even model. That who knows where my life would have been right now. Or the indecisiveness of, should I take this test to advance? Maybe not. You know, it really does become a major hindrance when you look back. It's like, look at all the missed opportunities that we lose out on because we can't make a sound decision at our age or even just a sound decision, period, at even a younger age. It doesn't make sense to me, but.
Yeah. I definitely have to piggyback off that making decisions and how it's held us back. Like, can you just imagine things that we've missed out on? Not making a decision on, should I send an email? Should I call this person? Should I do that? Like, it's just like, why? It's the fear of doing these things, honestly, that of being put in those positions where it's like you fear of failure. And exactly what, you know, it kind of boils down to, it has to, because why wouldn't you do these things? And it's not like if you do them, somebody's going to beat you up or you're going to get in trouble. Something's going to happen to you if you don't do these things. It's like, it has to really do with a lot of fear of failure to me. Like, go ahead.
But the thing is, we never know if we would really fail unless you give it a try. You will
but
never.
That's the catch to it. It's like you procrastinate. You never know until you try. But then it's like, what do you do? When you said about the modeling and the acting, so what was that experience like? What actually did you miss out on the opportunity of?
So, wasn't many opportunities, but you already know if you have one opportunity that opens up the door. So I remember with a brother of ours who was doing a lot of fashion and stuff like that. So Tommy Hilfiger himself was like, yo, you know, you're kind of cute there. You kind of pop in. I was like, like, do you have any pictures? Bring them through this date, blah, blah, blah. And I was really like, should I not? But I wanted to model so badly. That's something I wanted to do at that point. But the fear of, maybe some people are afraid of success. I don't know. I think the fear, I know the fear stopped that opportunity. And Lord knows the opportunities that would have been open to me, my whole life would have been different. Maybe it's a blessing in disguise that I didn't, right? We don't know the things that God kind of cover us. And maybe at my own hand, I kind of really missed something that maybe God had opened up that door for me. We never know. But that indecisiveness and that fear, it's not good. And when you have and when you know who God is, you really can't walk with the two. Like, faith really cancels fear. And so when you stepping out in faith, if these opportunities are there, just step out on faith. What do you have to lose? A no?
But you know what happens with that? And just like when you step out, you said you step out on opportunities, faith and fear, they cancel out each other. But we have free will. So with the free will, we're not going to be forced to do things.
Mm-hmm.
We have to make a decision again and to do things. So there are plenty of opportunities that we probably did miss out on that would have took us down other roads, but we chose this road. In relationships, if I would have chose this road, maybe I would be married, or maybe I would have this, have that now. But it's, the decisions that we made, which led us down the roads that we're living now, and made us into the people who we are now.
Mm-hmm.
Gave us those life experiences and stuff. And did we miss out on some things? Yeah, we probably did. And things that we will never know about, but that's such as life, and now we have to take the knowledge that we have and move forward in it and teach others too. Like when you see that indecisive, when we see it in each other, to check, to correct each other and do those kinds of things too, because it will definitely hold you back. It just will hold you back from so much.
It does. And that indecisiveness leads to that procrastination. And then you don't take care of things because you don't know whether you should do it or not. And it can lead to bigger things. But it's so funny because in thinking about this, I really was thinking about it also on a widow's perspective. I mean, I am a widow, so I need to give you my widow's perspective, right? And so I was thinking about the many indecisive things that right before my husband passed on extending our family. Because I was indecisive whether or not we should do it at that particular moment, maybe we should wait a little later. I missed that window of opportunity because then he passed away. Or even in the purchasing of our home, it's like we were supposed to do that. We were kind of tussling with whether or not we should do it now. Let's wait till later, going through the back and forth. And then what happens? Again, he passed away. So I would never know what it would be like. What if we did continue with those things and not be so indecisive with these choices or procrastinate on these choices, where it was really more on me wanting to push things back because it was like, well, maybe now is not the time. I wanted the time to be perfect. And then the time kind of just left. And that's something I can never get back.
But you know what? Sometimes that's our protection, I feel. Because maybe now's not the time, because I know I was in a relationship and we were talking about buying a condo together and doing all this together. I could not imagine. Look at my face, y'all. Oh, please. Right. Oh, please. I could not imagine right now, Gigi,
I know,
being a homeowner with this person. And not just because they were a bad person, but because look, if the relationship didn't work out, it was things that still needed to be worked out as individuals. In my spirit, in my gut, I knew that. And I just was like, it just never worked out. Every time we went and looked at something fell through. Every time we went and looked at this, just fell through. So it was, sometimes those things happen where it's just like, that's your little guardian angel or your protection over you. Like,
I believe that, like, sometimes that indecisiveness can also be your gut feeling. Just God letting you know, don't do it. If you're really tussling with something so much, really figure out, why can I make a decision on this? Especially in big things. Like, what is it that I can't make? What are you trying to show me, God, as to why I can't move forward? So sometimes it can be, like you mentioned, God can be trying to talk to us and tell us, don't do it, girl. You're going down the wrong road.
Wrong road. Truly, and you have to be able to decipher the two, is it, because then you don't want to put it all, that was God. No, it's not God all the time. But you have to be able to decipher the two. And that's when you having, establishing that relationship and knowing when it is God speaking to you, or when it's just your fear of saying, no, I don't want to do this, or you don't want to be the one that's in the group, like going against what everybody else is saying. Everybody else wants to do this, and you don't want to do that. And you're saying yes to it because, like, that's why when somebody asks me something now, my yes is yes and my no is no. I'm not in that gray area, really. I don't straddle the fence too much right now. Like, I'm you ask me a question, it can be yes or no. So when I say no, don't get upset, because it's not going to be yes all the time.
Exactly. I agree. And actually, in looking back as well, I can imagine as a widow raising a toddler right now, like a whole toddler that I have to be responsible for at this moment in my life. I'm not ready for that. I'm not ready. And so I can look back now, and because I'm in such a different place, I don't really have those regrets. In the beginning I did, right? But right now I don't have those regrets, because I see that God just has bigger and better things for me in this next chapter that I probably wouldn't be able to live out had I've been stuck with a mortgage, or I don't want to say stuck with a toddler, it's a blessings, but having a toddler and trying to maneuver my life right now would have been extremely challenging for me. So in hindsight, I see that why things happen. I
mean, it's always a reason why things happen. Sometimes we hold our own selves back.
We do.
In making decisions, you know, in having that free will, we choose to do this and we choose to do that when we should have did other things. But in making those is some of the decisions that I made, I can see like now, like, oh, thank God that didn't happen.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
That I was held back from that being in, you know, I guess being indecisive, but it really wasn't. It was just that voice that was going off like, this is not for you, girl.
I agree.
This is not for you.
And so for me, that was like some of the big things, like huge decision-making factors. But sometimes I'm indecisive about what I'm going to eat. Are you indecisive about that?
Well, you listen, I brought that up last week. Like, that's why in dating, like, I think that brings up just a stumbling block in the relationship. And you think something so small as him asking you, oh, what do you want to eat, babe, for dinner? Or what do you want to go out to the restaurant? And you're like, oh, I'm not certain where I want to go. It's like, you can't make a damn decision about if you want some chicken or steak or like, what, come on, you know what I mean? Like, and you'd be surprised how those little things really have an effect on the whole bigger picture of things. Because what it's really showing is that you're unstable in making a decision.
And girl, I've never thought about it that way. Those little things, because I'm always asked once or twice a week, what do you want to eat? I don't know.
Whatever you want to do.
It's always whatever you want. And they're like, look, can you make a decision? I'm like, I don't know, chicken and fish. Take me.
But you know what's so crazy, sis? Guys, the way they maneuver, and guys, leave your comments down and let us know. They really be doing little tests to see, you know, how she can handle things. I'm asking, you know, they ask you little things, and then you always like, it's like, okay, if she's indecisive about a hamburger, then how's she gonna make a decision? You know, how's she gonna make a decision about if she want to live in a house or, you know, whatever. So I'm telling you, you have to, because we do it. You know, we have our little tests that we do.
Yes, we do.
And they don't know that we asking these questions, or you might throw something out there. It's for them to remember, like, oh, I like this. Oh, you know, I saw this thing in the magazine. This bag is so nice. And like, that's a hint for them to take inventory that, oh, she likes that bag.
She likes that bag. She may want that bag.
They do.
So yeah, I was thinking about, I know sometimes I'm indecisive about the clothes that I'm going to wear when I want to be intentionally cute. If I'm going on, I want to be cute. Girl, when I come home, I'm like, really? Like, I'll go through 3 pairs of jeans, a couple of tops. Now, these shoes, you go through that? I mean, you're a girl.
Definitely. Every woman. I go through that. I went through that tonight. Just when we were sitting here waiting, I was like, okay, if I wait any longer, I'm going to change my shirt. I'm going to change my headband. I'm going to do, you know, like, yeah, it's just, but I have something that I had written down here. I just want to get your opinion on it. So I was just thinking, like, when we were saying what could have been, what should have been, if you really sit back and think about that, it's like, that will drive you crazy. to just think that, oh, all the opportunities that I probably missed out on, or the husband I could have missed out on, the child that I probably should have had, this that I should have done. But you know what? We can't live in those decisions thinking what could have, right? Because that stuff will make you go crazy.
Yes. And real talk, like I really didn't think about these things until I had to really sit and think about the topic for today. And when I started thinking, that's when I was like, damn, I was really indecisive about this and this and this. Wow, this could have been. But I'm happy that I haven't really spent my years pondering about all the decisions. I mean, I think it's natural for a person to sit back because you kind of take a moment going back to inventory. You're reflecting and you're like, damn, if I would have taken this route, things might have been a little different. So that's normal. But I definitely don't sit and think about everything that I should have done and everything I didn't do. That will definitely drive you insane.
Yeah, it will give you anxiety.
I think so. But I think it's normal for a person to be indecisive, like to a certain extent.
But you should take a moment always to step back and think about things. Being indecisive and taking a moment to step back and think about things before you make a decision, I think are two different things. Like being indecisive, like about little dumb things, like why are we being indecisive? Like for me, I don't know if you do this, sis. I'll go downstairs to the mailbox all week, or I won't check the mailbox for a whole week. The mail will be in there. I just won't go to the mailbox and open up the mailbox. It just does something to me. I can't do it. And then I'll get the mail. I'll come upstairs with the mail. I'll have a damn pile of mail up to the hoo-ha that I haven't opened. Why haven't I opened this mail?
Wonder Twin, I do the exact same thing.
It's like, what is going on? And you know what?
Same thing.
When we did the show last week, that just made me think, like, when I take self-inventory, I have to take self-inventory of that too. Like, what is that about?
I know. I know.
And do people see that in me? And that's why certain relationships and stuff didn't work out, because they're like, yo, this chick is too indecisive, man.
So is this something that you were doing pre-COVID as well?
With the mail? Yes.
Ooh, my once a week is only because of COVID, because I'm like, okay, I'm going to limit the amount of times I go down. And I spray my stuff. I leave it in the corner so that in my head it has time to process and disinfect. But I have a little mailbox by my door that I take my mail and I put it in there. And then
but do you open it?
Maybe later.
Why do we do this?
Let me go read and see what the hell.
Right. Like, do you know how many things, like, I've opened things up too late where I've missed out on things that I need, you know what I mean? Like things that could help, that were beneficial to me. I've missed out on them because I didn't open up the damn mail.
That's me. I have a question for you. What is the biggest regret you have as a result of your indecisiveness?
Wow. You gonna bang me in the head like that?
Maybe you don't have any regrets.
You know what? The word regret at this point in my life, because I've taken, I've been doing so much self-reflection and seeing everything as a lesson. I mean, I think that if I would have had been communicating a little bit more with in certain relationships, though they would have been more successful on the relationship aspect. I think that if I would have been more aggressive in the work field, I would be at a position where I was supposed to be at and where others saw me to be. Like, I've had opportunities to move up and I was like, oh, no, I don't want to do that because it's too much responsibility and I'm not making that much more money than this right here. But it's like, it's at some point where, you have to take on these next steps that are presented before you. So, I don't see them as regrets now, but as definitely things that I like, I probably missed out on because of the procrastination and because of being indecisive.
Exactly.
How about you?
For me, my biggest regret, I don't know if I have like a lot of regrets. When I really sit back and I ponder about things, I normally reflect it to pre being a widow. So I always try to think about decisions in that time period in regards to him. But I think maybe like the same as you with opportunities and maybe not thinking that they might have been that lucrative. But in hindsight now, it's like those little baby steps would have been windows of opportunities for bigger things. And it's just a learning lesson. I do have I do have regrets about things. I do.
Yeah.
Because I think we all probably do in life when we look back.
Because like I said, for me, I don't like to look at them as regrets right now. I like to, because I'm in a season of self-inventory and self-reflection. I want to look at them like that, even with, like I'm also in a season of forgiveness, like people that's done stuff to me, or I feel like I was wrong or whatever. I've come to a space where you have to realize you have to forgive people, and you can't hold people hostage to their past too. So, I'm in that space as well. But I have a question that I think that we should pose. I think I have a question and I would like to hear from the fellas on this one. Like, women that are indecisive, what do you think? I want to know what the fellas think about that. Women that are indecisive.
What do they think?
Because I mean, I don't have regrets with that, but I'm now doing looking at things. I'm like, certain things probably didn't happen because I was so indecisive in my decision making. I was so just laid back and nonchalant in the relationship, that it was like, okay.
Very true. And I think about that. Maybe if I was a little bit more aggressive, not aggressive in that sense of, in the negative sense, but a little bit more aggressive with my decision making in past relationships, or even with my husband, then maybe certain outcomes would have happened sooner than later. Would have definitely happened sooner than later if I didn't procrastinate and was so indecisive. Because sometimes the man, I think, guys, make sure you leave your comments, but I think that sometimes they may try to get the feel of where the woman is going before they make decisions. There's some men who are just men. They're just men. And it's like, look, I'm going to make this decision, and now I'm going to make this decision, but maybe we'll hold you accountable and we'll kind of try to push you a little bit more into making those decisions because they may know that it will benefit both of us in the long run. As opposed to having a guy who's a little bit more laid back and chill. Two indecisive people, that's a problem. That's like a mix for disaster.
Yeah. And I'm not trying to put the blame on us by no means, saying that, I think everything is a learning lesson and you should take it as such when you move on to the next step. But I just want to know the feeling of the guys, the men, with indecisive women, what they think about that situation. Look like your head is brewing with something over there. No?
No, it's not.
Okay.
It's not. It's so funny. It's so funny because I'm thinking about.
I know my sister. I see you over there brewing.
No. Because I'm thinking about like. That's probably something in a relationship that would bother me. But then when I was sitting down and reflecting on myself, I'm like, dang,
right.
I'm a little bit indecisive about some certain things, but more so like I feel, and I don't think it's out of like fear, but I think it's out of, at this point, I think it might be out of the fact that I want things to be perfect. Like my business ventures, right? We're working on business ventures or whatever. And I want things to be so perfect that I'm so indecisive whether or not, should I write this? Should I do it that way? Should I do this? And so I need to call this person. I need to call this person. And my indecisiveness in this season, I think for me, majority of the time is because I want things to be perfect. And that's where my indecisiveness comes into play.
And nothing is ever going to be perfect. So in wanting things to be perfect, wanting things to be perfect, we're wasting time, because you just got to jump out there and get it done. Like you need to make the mistakes first of all, so you can learn from them and move through. It's like, it's never going to be perfect. So why do we do this to ourselves?
I don't know why I torture myself all the time.
Stop it.
I do. Right. But I don't want a man who's indecisive. So it's like I'm gonna have to fix that quality a little bit, because I don't want my man to be like that.
Listen, we all works in progress. That's what we do, and that's why we decided to sit down and talk to each other and bring people into our conversation so we could get feedback and we could talk to each other and see, like, why do we do these things? Do other people do these things?
I know.
Right. Is it just me? No, it can't be.
It might just be us two.
And what, are we just the only two crazy ones? We don't know.
I know.
Yeah. So I think we got something to talk about next week now. I hope we hear from a lot of the fellas, because I want to know their opinions, what they think about that.
I think so.
Yeah. Something that we need to just put a little out there that we need to talk about is like all of this indecisiveness. It messes with, we need to start talking about like what our love languages are, in the next episode coming up. Discuss that, because I just think that it connects some dots too. It connects some dots. What do you think?
I love the love languages. Hey, Mimi, it seems like the love guru is ready for us, guys. So awesome. Give me a moment while I let her in. I'm a little challenged.
Hi, girlie.
Hi.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Hi, beautiful.
Hi, how are you?
Good. We're so happy that you can join us.
Yes, I'm happy to be here too.
So it's funny. The topic was indecisiveness, and Mimi and I were talking about how indecisive we were, whether or not we should kind of listen to what you said to start recording until you were able to join us, and we were kind of back and forth. So it's like, look, we experienced a little indecisiveness for the show, Indecisiveness.
All right. So that's why we figured we had to go on, because we were being indecisive on the topic of.
Very good. I'm glad you guys chose to go on. Yes, I'm happy. I'm happy that you guys did. I don't want the audience waiting either.
Right. So we had a question. I had a question. You
always have a question.
Right. So we were already discussing this. I wanted to get your thoughts on, why do you think people are indecisive? Like, what are the reasonings behind them being indecisive, or some of your reasonings for being indecisive?
Well, I'm indecisive in many areas of my life, and I'm gonna speak on being indecisive in relationships first, and then I'm gonna speak on my own personal, why I'm indecisive with myself. I think in relationships we're indecisive because we don't want to like step on their toes, or maybe we don't want to make them feel uncomfortable, so we give them the option to always make the decision, and we want them to know that we're flexible, but just really giving them the opportunity to make the decision and make them feel comfortable. I think that's why I do it in relationships, just because I want him or whoever I'm with at the time to feel comfortable, and I'm really flexible.
Right.
As far as my personal life, my indecisiveness comes from fear, comes from being uncomfortable, comes from just being scared of the unknown. And that's why I'm indecisive in my personal life. I've talked about wanting a career change. That's huge. It's been on my vision board. It's been on my list, I think, for the last 3, maybe 4 years. And sometimes things come along, and because I'm scared of the change, I'm scared of the unknown. I always retrieve, and I always go back to the comfort. So that's why I'm indecisive in life. Oh, you know what? I don't even know. Sometimes I'm just scared of not knowing the outcome of what it's going to be if I make that decision. So again, for me, it's uncomfortable. It's the fear factor. And that's why I'm indecisive.
Girl, you just you just reiterated everything that we said.
That's why we are a trio.
Yes. We said it all. Everything you just said, we said. In that, you scared to say your opinion because you think that the crowd is going to say something opposite, and you don't want to go against the grain, or you think that he's going to feel some way if But he's asking the question, so clearly he wants, our feedback on it. But we said all the things you said, the fear factor, all that.
We talked about, it's funny because Mimi, you mentioned when we were actually discussing this topic about like if you go to dinner and they ask you like, where do you want to go? Gigi, I think you also talked about it too. You were like, they ask you, where do you want to go? You're like, I don't care. It doesn't matter. And I've done that so often, and they're like, yes, it does matter. I want to know what you want to eat, or I want to know if sitting at this table is okay, or would you rather sit in the back? And I just, I go with the flow. I'm like, I don't care. It doesn't matter. But they've told me, yes, it does matter. So I'm trying to adopt that new behavior of making decisions, being firm about my decision, and if I do want chicken tonight, I'm not going to say, oh, let's have salmon because that's what he wants. No, I want chicken. Let's have chicken tonight. So I'm trying to adopt that behavior. But as I've mentioned, I'm a creature of habit. When you do things for so many years, it's so hard to break out of those habits. So it's a little difficult for me, but I'm trying.
Yeah. And when they do those things, we were saying that it's almost like they want to see how we're going to act. Like it's not that they're testing us, but trying to see how we will handle things in a relationship. You never realize how those little small things, they're like, if she can't make a decision, or if she wants chicken or salmon, how can she make a decision if she want to live in a house or a condo? You know what I mean? So
you know what, Mimi? I never thought about it that way. Like that's a good way to put it. Like I never thought that because I was indecisive, he would think about it in the big spectrum. The big picture. I never thought of it that way. And it's true. Like, how could she make a decision whether she wants to be married in the States or she wants to go and be married abroad? Like, I never thought of that.
Think about us. Like, I'm sure that neither one of us would want a man who's indecisive. That would probably drive us crazy. But because we're like, we do it all the time, it's almost like second nature. We don't really think of it as it's such a big deal with the small things. Because you have the big indecisive decision that's driven by the fear, right, that we talked about yesterday. You hit it right, the nail on the head. And then the small things, the food, the clothes, how we want to do our hair, what we want to wear. Those are small things. But the man can be, we talked a little bit yesterday, Mimi and I, how the man can actually look at that, like Mimi just mentioned, like, wow, man, she can't even make up her mind about this. Like, how does a man think about it? How does he look at us when we are in
You guys are really good. You gave me this question. Now I have this question that I can ask someone else. Thank you for that question.
You know what I think too? I think that because we talk, I think that because we're kind of old-fashioned in some of our ways, that it's a double standard too, that I know I personally have for men. Like if a man is indecisive, I almost see it as a sign of weakness.
Yeah, yes. How you can't make up your mind? What's the problem?
Yeah, like you're supposed to be making the decision. That's really why I kind of fall back sometimes and don't make decisions. But now looking at the picture, I'm like, they could be looking at the bigger picture and saying, oh, she can't make a decision. But I'm looking at them like, oh, he's weak.
That's a great way to look at it. Maybe he looks at us like we're weak, because a man also wants a woman that's strong, right? Well, the same way we look at that like a weak characteristic, they may look at that as a weak characteristic. I didn't think about that.
Neither did I. You guys are on point today. Mimi, you're on point, girl. You making me do a You making me think today.
This is the season that we in with the self-reflection and all that, you know?
That's so true. Because on this topic, it actually made me have to really reflect about, wow, am I really indecisive? And I really am. So that leads me to a question that we had that I'm going to ask you. What is the biggest regret you may have as a result of your indecisiveness?
I know, I did the same thing when she asked me. I was like, oh, Lord, have mercy.
All right. I won't go too into detail, but being impulsive.
Okay.
Being impulsive, saying things without thinking, because my mind is all over the place and I don't know, like I want to make this decision, but I'm just like, is this the right decision? Or yes, like I sometimes I have to talk myself off the ledge, so to speak, you know, because I'm ready to make, my impulsive side is ready to make that decision, no turning back. But then when I sit and I think, like I'm with myself and I think, then I'm like, no, that may not be the right thing to do. So I think that a lot of times I make decisions not because I sit and think about it, but because I'm impulsive. And that impulsive behavior has led me to regret a lot of my indecisiveness, if that makes kind of
sense. Because it's all under the same umbrella, the procrastination, the indecisiveness, you know, all that's under the same umbrella. So it's tied in together. And it's like when you were saying just now, Love Guru, that you can't take those things back. Like when you put words out there, like you can't, those words are out there. Like you can say, do all the sorries and, oh, you know, I did. That's why you got to take that split second. I don't care if it's a half a second to
think about what you're going to say before you put it out there. I say that all the time. You know what? I'm not great at controlling my mouth. I'm really not. I'm not. I'm working on it. I've gotten a lot better, but I'm still that impulsive spitfire. You come at me, I'm coming at you worse, you know, and I'm working on it. And I definitely, I've seen improvement, so I can definitely pat myself on the back. I'm doing a good job, but am I 100%? No, she's still in here.
But you know, we're never going to be 100%. I can say that that's something that I've been working on for so long that I kind of got a grips on, but she is definitely still down deep in my spirit, and she could come up at any minute if provoked. But I definitely have that under control, but don't let it come out. Then it's just like, because she's been dormant for so long. That yeah.
So that's my thing, that now these days I'm actually really thinking about it. Like I'm making a conscious effort to stop, think about what I want to say, and then say it, because I'm a big person for of words. I don't know if because I'm an ELA teacher, but words mean a lot to me. Good words, bad words, all of those words, like, you know, uplifting words, things that are mean, those things mean a lot to me. So because I'm an impulsive person and I love words, I'm trying to be kinder with my words. So when I speak, before I speak, I try to think about it. And that's something that I'm trying to teach other people as well. Stop and think, how are these words going to make her feel?
And then how is it going to affect, because especially if it's somebody that you love, how's it going to affect the relationship after the words are out there and now y'all got to come back together? The relationship is a little affected by that. Like I always talk to because my daughter, woo-wee, she will go like, but you know, I always try to tell her that everything doesn't need a response. Just walk away. Just because somebody is saying something to you, I don't care if it's spitfire, whatever it is. If somebody's not doing you any physical harm, just walk away from them. And she's just like, it's so hard, but I'm like, I understand that the words you want to say, get yours in, you know, but everything doesn't need a response.
No, it is hard though to walk away.
It is.
It's so hard.
but you have that moment to kind of wrestle with that. Indecisiveness is wrestling with those thoughts. You have to really take that moment back and just take that a quick moment. Is it worth it?
Right.
It worth it? If it's not,
because a split second could destroy a relationship that you've been in for forever.
Yes.
From one word of saying something that, you know, and then the person is thinking, oh, you've been thinking that for all this time, and you know, you said that.
Mimi, it's funny because you said, and then we're saying, I'm sorry. Yeah. I'm a firm believer that, yes, we can be sorry, but sometimes the sorries get old. And sometimes the sorry doesn't mean the same now, the same way it meant the first time you did it, you know, or the second time you did it. Like after all these sorries, every time you do, like at this point, like either get your behavior in check or stop saying sorry, because that's who you are, period.
Right.
And you have no want, no desire to change that behavior, because if you did, you would change it automatically. Because when we want to change something, we do it. We could do it in a split second. Because when we want to save money, because we want to go on that vacation, girl, you know, every paycheck you saving that $100. Right. You're going to Jamaica with your girls.
Right.
So it's the same thing. You want to change a behavior. If you really want to change it, if that's really your desire, it's not going to be hard. You're going to make that conscious effort every single day to stop, think about your words before you spew them and hurt everyone else. So now you don't have to say sorry.
Yeah. Some people, well, I have one particular person in my life that they can't say sorry to me no more. The sorries are falling out the closet. They can't even fit in my closet. No, like I ain't got no room for no more sorries. Like it's just some people who you gotta be like, you know what? I forgive you. I've moved on.
But you have to move
I'm good, and I wish you well. But I am sorry to death with you. I'm done. Yeah.
That's very true.
Yeah, some people just gotta be done with. You're not upset. You're just done.
Yeah.
That's true.
Some people are just exhausting.
Right.
They are. And sometimes we kind of are indecisive whether or not we should continue those relationships because they've been there for so long. It's like
a comfortable robe.
It's a comfortable robe. Yeah. And should I keep it because it's been there? No. If you're wrestling with the idea whether or not you should continue it, then sometimes, you know, we talked a little bit about how that's your gut instinct telling you, do this, do this. And then we procrastinate on making those decisions because of the fear. But sometimes that indecisiveness is not like, it's different between making those big decisions and deciding whether or not you want your hair up or your hair down.
Yeah.
We feel those gut feelings, and sometimes we have to move on those instincts.
Yeah. And sometimes you just have to filter people out of your life. It's unfortunate because, you know, you have people that you love, but it's just sometimes that relationship has come to a head. It's, you know.
Yeah, like we've mentioned before, some people are in your life for a season. They're in your life to teach you something, you know, or you're in their life because you need to teach them something. But that doesn't mean that they're supposed to go along for your entire journey. You know, they're just here for that season. I love you. Thank you for the lessons that you taught me. You know, I'm grateful that I could teach you what I was supposed to teach you. But this is where this is where you get off the train. You can't continue with me on my journey.
Yeah.
Yeah. Does anyone have any other questions?
Ladies, I'm glad you waited for me.
No, I'm glad that you came in because you gave another insight.
Yeah.
I mean, you put a period on the end those are some of the main things about being indecisive. It's fear and, you know, all that kind of stuff. But yeah. So when is it? Next Thursday is the 27th. Right?
Yeah. Yes, it is.
27th. Okay. So we're going to be back on next Thursday?
Yep, at 7 p.m.
Yeah. 7 p.m. On where? To Puerto Rico.
Black Girl.